It was supposed to be routine. A quiet cul-de-sac in suburban Arizona, an HOA so strict it fined people for lawn gnomes, and a resident named Helen Quinn, known to everyone as Karen with a clipboard. But no one expected that the woman who called the cops on a mailbox would end up convicted of felony fraud. Her conviction made headlines not because of what she did, but how far she went to be right. It started with a mailbox complaint. It ended with handcuffs. Picture it. A blazing summer afternoon. I just installed a new mailbox, black, sleek, with gold lettering. Harmless. Seconds later, Helen was on my porch, phone in hand, fury in her eyes. That mailbox violates HOA Code 4.3. She snapped, voice sharp as shattered glass. I froze. Code 4.3 regulated mailbox heights. Mine was 1 inch taller than standard. I'll have to report this, she said, smiling like she'd already won. The next morning, there were sirens. 2 police cruisers idled in front of my house. An officer told me someone reported suspicious construction activity. Construction? All I had was a post hole digger and a level. Karen, sorry Helen, stood across the street recording on her phone, narrating like a news anchor. Illegal installation, she said into her camera, documenting for the HOA. The cops left laughing when they realized it was a mailbox. But that humiliation wasn't enough for her. An hour later, an official HOA violation notice arrived in my inbox. Fine, $500. Reason, unauthorized structural modification. I appealed. The president of the HOA, Helen, denied it. Here's where things get weird. My neighbor, Zoe, mentioned she got 2 violation letters in 1 week. Same signature, same phrasing. But your name's on them too, Zoe whispered, pulling out an envelope addressed to me but sent to her. Confused, I opened it. It wasn't a violation notice. It was a complaint against me, plus a copy of my property deed. Wait, how did Helen get my deed? I called the county office. They said someone requested a copy online, using my name. They emailed me the request form, and there was, in black and white, a Gmail address that looked oddly familiar. HOA Justice Forever. My stomach dropped. That was Helen's username on the HOA message board. Armed with proof, I confronted her at the next HOA meeting. Cameras rolled. Our meetings were live-streamed. I asked her if she filed documents using my identity. She laughed, dismissive, but her hand trembled as she shuffled papers. Then she said it, words that blew the room apart. Maybe if people followed the rules, they wouldn't have anything to hide. Gasps. 2 days later, my mortgage company called. They'd received a transfer of ownership form, signed with my name. Someone had tried to reassign my property title. Fraud. Real estate fraud. Value. For $130,000. The signature looked like mine, but wasn't. CCTV from the county office showed a woman dropping off paperwork, wearing a floral scarf and oversized sunglasses. The timestamp? At the same hour Helen's car's license plate was logged leaving the HOA complex. Detectives took interest. They called it petty tyranny turned criminal. But the deeper they dug, the stranger it got. Turns out Helen wasn't just filing violations. She was altering HOA payment databases, pocketing fines, and using residents' personal data to open P.O. boxes. Multiple, under residents' names. Mine included. When the police arrived at her house with a search warrant, they found dozens of envelopes stacked neatly by her desk. Copies of HOA notices stamped but never sent. Spreadsheets of residents' birthdays. Even templates for fake signatures. And right there beside her computer, a printed copy of my mailbox installation photo from the day she called the cops. She told officers it was all a misunderstanding, that she was protecting property values. But when they compared handwriting samples, the match was undeniable. She forged 6 resident names on legal property forms. $1.3 million in potential transfers blocked just in time. Her mugshot went viral, captioned, "Mailbox Karen pulls off a mini Ponzi scheme." Here's the twist. During the investigation, authorities realized the HOA itself had never legally existed. The incorporation paperwork filed years earlier was fake. The EIN number belonged to a defunct landscaping company, meaning Every fine, every notice, every penalty Helen had ever issued was invalid. She wasn't enforcing HOA rules. She was the HOA, the so-called HOA board members. They were identities she created, fake emails, stock profile photos. One of them was even an AI-generated face. Yet residents kept paying dues to a P.O. box owned by her. Over $180,000 collected in maintenance fees. Once reporters caught wind of it, the story exploded. Karen Crime Boss runs fake HOA. One headline read, neighborhoods across the state started auditing their own HOAs in panic. Helen's trial was surreal. She represented herself, naturally, wore her HOA badge pinned to her blazer like an honor medal. She told the jury, I kept order when no one else would. I maintained community standards. But the prosecution had receipts, literal ones. Bank transfers traced every fee straight to Helen's personal account. They found she bought luxury handbags, spa packages, even paid off her son's college tuition, all labeled as HOA operations expenses. When the verdict finally came, guilty on all counts, the courtroom erupted. Some residents cheered. Some just sat in stunned silence. And yet, it wasn't over. The morning after sentencing, a county clerk found something odd. Another file request under my name, dated that week. Same fake Gmail. The IP address? Not Helen's house, but from a nearby assisted living facility registered under the name Donna Quinn, Helen's sister. Detectives rushed to the facility, but Donna was gone. Her room is empty. Her laptop is missing. Only a single envelope left behind on the bed, addressed to me. Inside, a photograph of my new, completely regulation-approved mailbox. On the back, in neat handwriting, you built it 1 inch too high again. Was Helen's empire bigger than anyone thought? Was Donna helping the whole time? Or continuing her sister's work? Police reopened the case, tracing every old violation back 10 years. Turns out, some records dated before Helen even moved into the neighborhood. Someone else had started it long before. Now residents whisper about the founder, an unknown person whose signature appears at the bottom of the very first fake HOA document ever filed. Initials HQ, the same as Helen's. But county archives now show another version of that same document, digitally altered months later. The original signer's initials? Not HQ, DQ, Donna Quinn. Maybe Helen didn't start the scam at all. Maybe she inherited it. And maybe that envelope wasn't a threat. It was a message. Something bigger is buried beneath all the suburban chaos, tied to property deeds, forged IDs, and years of invisible transactions. Detectives say the paper trail leads to one last P.O. box, registered under an anonymous company that still collects HOA dues from several neighborhoods just miles away. A box that hasn't been touched since Helen's arrest. Until yesterday, when surveillance caught someone arriving at 3 a.m. using a key. They opened it, pulled out a single white envelope, and slipped away before police could respond. The footage is grainy, but one thing stands out, an embroidered patch on the person's sleeve. HOA board, authorized member. Whoever they are, they're still out there. And the next suburb over just got its first mailbox violation notice in months. The footage, that grainy, midnight clip of a figure opening the P.O. box. The embroidered patch gleamed under the streetlight. HOA board, authorized member. Cops trace a key holder, but the box was empty when they arrived. No dues, no envelopes. Just one folded note inside that box saying, check your backyard. By morning, half the neighborhood was swarming with reporters. Everyone is paranoid, checking fences, scanning mailboxes. Then my doorbell rang. No one there, just a small brown package. No return address. Inside, an old HOA binder caked with dust and a flash drive labeled property of HQ. When investigators plugged it in, what they found burned everything upside down. The drive contained scanned documents, real government contracts, listing the HOA not as a community organization, but as a shell entity linked to a defunct corporate trust. That trust was incorporated long before Helen or Donna moved in, before the subdivision even existed. And the owner's name on the founding paperwork? Zoe Martin, My sweet next-door neighbor, the same one who helped me uncover Helen's fraud. Detectives searched Zoe's home that night. Empty. Her garage was spotless, except for one open laptop displaying surveillance feeds of our entire street. She'd been spying on us for months. Hidden behind a false wall in her basement, they found a stack of notarized HOA deeds, each signed and filed under DQ and HQ alternately. She'd been controlling them both, manipulating the sisters into taking the fall. Turns out Zoe wasn't Zoe at all. Her real name, Donna Quinn Martinez, Helen's older sister who disappeared 15 years earlier after being charged with embezzlement in another county. She reinvented herself, moved back under a new identity, and built the entire fake HOA structure piece by piece, letting Helen think she was in charge. The whole Mailbox saga? Just bait to trigger Helen's obsession and divert suspicion, while Zoe drained residents' accounts through maintenance fees. Police say she vanished 2 hours before the footage hit the news, fleeing in a gray SUV registered to a shell corporation connected to that same corporate trust. The last camera to catch her was 1 block away from a new development under construction, where a sign reads, "Coming soon, HOA managed living by DQ Properties." The neighborhood thought the nightmare ended when Karen fell, but the real mastermind just moved zip codes. Note, stay tuned, because the Mailbox mystery isn't over. The next suburb's already getting letters.